Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the Kickback Cafe, the show where we kick back, relax, and talk about anything but Disney, with the exception of some Disney films that are owned, Marvel films that are owned by Disney, with the exception of that. So, BlueDragonFive, Comic-Con was upon us last weekend. I've got to say, this was one of the most exciting Comic-Cons I've seen in quite a while for my money.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of big reveals, lots of trailers getting dropped, lots of cool new footage we saw. Just all around, I just think the plethora of news from everywhere was just really, really good.
Yeah. You know, something really cool is that we're starting to kind of come upon an enlightened Comic-Con where now trailers, for the most part, basically with the exception of test footage, trailers are just kind of instantly put online, which is good.
Mm-hmm. Which is nice.
Which is good. And, you know, footage, I'll get into some explanations I've heard looking into a few of these. Like, there is some explanation for why some footage is unavailable. But we'll get there.
All right, so before we get into anything, we're going to kind of separate it back into categories. We're going to go through DC, then we're going to go through kind of miscellaneous TV and movies, and end on Marvel. But before we get into that, I have just got to quickly highlight something that was absolutely the biggest win of Comic-Con for me. The thing out of Comic-Con that I am most looking forward to out of anything else out of Comic-Con. And BlueDragonFive, it is something that you could care less about. It is the announcement of the sequel to the Blair Witch project, simply titled Blair Witch. Let me tell you why this is such a big deal to me. Blair Witch Project changed the horror game back in the day. That is one of the movies for me as a teenager that got me into horror filmmaking, that got me into independent filmmaking for that matter. Blair Witch Project was revolutionary. And looking at this trailer, seeing what they've done, seeing how they've kind of taken like a lot of the famous iconography of Blair Witch, like, you know, of course, like the Stickman figures, and then we have the Blair Witch house, which was the finale of the first movie. The whole trope of being lost in the forest, which for people who don't know, who haven't seen Blair Witch, the scariness of Blair Witch doesn't come from the fact that there's a witch. The scariness from Blair Witch comes from A, you never see the witch, and B, the fact that the movie is essentially three kids kind of descending into madness as they get lost in the woods. It's very much a character piece in that regard. I think this new Blair Witch looks incredible. I think as a horror junkie, as a horror fan, I love absolutely everything that they've done with this. Could it be bad? Of course it could be bad. Any horror reboot sequel thing has the potential to be bad. But I personally love every direction they're going with this. I love how it's still found footage, but it's very much found footage of today's day and age where, you know, everyone has an HD camera on their smartphone, so it makes sense that the footage is going to look a little nicer. I love how it's still a group of kids getting lost in the woods, and that's just the primary focus of it. I love how they're calling back iconography of the original movie, but not making the whole thing into like just a retread of the first movie. It looks incredible to me. And I really do hope that it just revitalizes the horror genre in general outside of James Wan. Because right now I think that James Wan is kind of like the big horror director and everyone else is kind of in his shadow. And I'm stoked for this. I am absolutely stoked for Blair Witch. Dragon, I know you care absolutely nothing about it. I just want to get on my soapbox for a minute and just kind of just plead to the world about how freaking excited I am for this horror movie event. It is an event for me. All right, Dragon.
Okay, so we should probably kick things off with the DC side of things, because DC, you know, they've been really kind of, you know, they needed a boost this year, and I think Comic-Con was kind to them this year. All right.
I definitely think DC was on top, better than Marvel for sure.
Well, I mean, Marvel was still strong, but not as flashy as DC was. And, you know, flashiness as well. Yeah. Anyways, let's start with kind of one of the ones everyone was expecting to hate but really loved. Justice League.
Yeah. I've got to admit, I'm still like skeptical just because of the Zack Snyder connection. You know me, I'm vocally outspoken against Snyder.
I think across the globe we're all cautiously optimistic. I mean, we're all very cautious in our expectations. You know, we're always very
The one thing I'll give this trailer is that it very much felt kind of Guardians of the Galaxy-esque in terms of, like, here's a ragtag group of heroes that have to get together. And the humor felt very on point with this trailer. There was no awkward kind of like, is she with you? I thought she was with you. It's like there's no awkward exchanges like that. All the humor in this trailer, and there was a lot of it, felt very naturalistic. Is that DC trying to copy the Marvel formula? Maybe, but the Marvel formula works, and I'm excited to see it applied to characters like this.
I'll tell you what I thought, but I thought it doesn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie in the trailer. And it might be definitely on purpose, but what really struck me about here's my theory on it, though. Here's what I'm convinced it's going to be. Zack Snyder is still directing the film, but as we know, with the shakeup at DC, I think their confidence in Snyder has definitely been questioned. But what I think they're doing, because Jeff Johns, he has a lot of control over there in the film division. He's kind of the chief creative officer of the comics. Last time I checked, he's also kind of in that vein for the films. It looks like, and the big thing is that he's gonna have a big hand in the new Batman movie coming. Ben Affleck and Jeff Johns are really kind of heading that new Batman movie. And what my thought is that Jeff Johns, I assume he's gonna have involvement, definitely a production. I forget the credits for Batman v Superman, if he was listed in that or not, but I would assume Jeff Johns is going to be involved in this movie in some capacity. What I would like to think is that maybe he's ghost directing this one along with Zack Snyder.
That'd be great.
Because I'll tell you why. This might be a trick of the editing. Again, for all the DC trailers, let's keep that in mind. We always have to keep in mind, the trailers and the trailers could be misleading.
Sure.
So now, since Batman, basically now, as we say, like in a post-Deadpool world, now we got to say in a post-Batman v Superman world, we do have to keep our expectations in check. A little bit. And I say I get a real Jeff Johns vibe out of this trailer, because Jeff Johns, Tiki, he's a big character guy. It's his big suit, and this trailer seemed very character-based. And again, that's Jeff Johns' strength, any of his stories. Storytelling-wise, they don't really always connect as kind of prettily, in as pretty a manner as you like. But Jeff Johns, he understands his characters. Like he idolizes the Flash. He knows Green Lantern like the back of his hand. He could teach seminars on each of these characters. The guy knows his characters, and this trailer seemed like fun, and like the character dynamics and just them on their own will be really interesting.
So let's break it down really quick. I'm in love with this Aquaman. I think, I don't care if it's just kind of like badass, like Thor type Aquaman. I love the design of him. I love the attitude on him. I love how they make him into basically like a Poseidon type god of the sea in a very literal sense of the word.
I just really like that they're sticking there. I really like that they're sticking kind of to the really cool Aquaman origin, that he was raised on land by a human father, and he's secretly the king of Atlantis. So he finds that's his journey. I'm not sure if they're going to get into the whole thing of that. I just love they're starting him on the surface, and he's kind of like a guy on the surface, and he's going to his father ran a lighthouse. I don't know if that's Aquaman's job or whatnot. Point is, he's a guy in a small town, kind of like from Jaws, essentially.
Flash was definitely a highlight. I love Ezra Miller in the role. Honestly, seeing the brief bit of Flash we had here kind of makes me want to check out the show to get more of the character. I think everyone can agree probably the most badass shot of the whole trailer was the slow-mo shot of the Batarang and Flash examining it.
Oh yeah, Flash is looking a lot better than I was thinking, because again, Batman v Superman, we got a glimpse of Barry Allen with a ponytail, and I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying, because he had a cool lightning bolt when he was going by, but didn't scream Flash. And this though, again, they ditched the ponytail, and also he seems really he seems like an interesting guy. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He's kind of like an eclectic guy. He seems to be. The fact he's asking, can I keep this? I mean, he seems like a really relatable, down-to-earth guy. And he seems fun. He seems like a good counterpoint to Batman. So I'm looking forward to and he looks really cool in the costume also, because I was really worried about it, because they said he was going for an armored costume. It looks good. I'm having more faith in this Flash, because I love the Flash TV show. So I'm having more faith in this Flash.
I think Diana and Bruce have a really good chemistry with each other. I think they're going to be a fun dynamic in the movie, kind of keeping that up from Batman versus Superman. Yeah. Really quick, I think that the effects on Cyborg are probably the most unfinished effects in the trailer, and I have confidence that they'll look better once we actually see the movie.
Here's the thing: I was fearing Cyborg's look. I mean, I think the face looks a lot better than I was afraid of. But still, I think that the red light on his chest is really distracting to me. Like, I think there's too much red on the costume, because if from a distance, in like the big publicity shot of all of them standing next to each other or something, Cyborg kind of blends into the background because of that red light. Kind of bugs me. But again, the face looks great on him, though.
Yeah, and it is exciting to see a character that, of course, we 90s kids grew up with, like in the early 2000s with Teen Titans, and now it's like, oh, we know Cyborg, we love Cyborg, there he is.
So, let me make it clear, Tig, just going for it. I've never been crazy about Cyborg in the Justice League. I can make peace with it at times if the story's good enough.
I'm not necessarily in love with the idea. I'm just saying I think it's cool to see a live action interpretation of the character.
Yeah, it's a thing. And Cyborg.
I'd much prefer just a live action Teen Titans movie. I think that would be amazing. But I digress.
As much as I think Jeff Johns, he really knows characters. I mean, I don't know why on God's green earth. Why is he putting so much importance on Cyborg? He's cool. Don't put him on the Justice League. I'm just saying it's not just this. He's always done this in the comics. Cyborg. That's why Cyborg's on this in this movie because he made such a big deal out of him. He put him on the Justice League, and I don't get why. Just he's cool. Okay. Leave him on the Teen Titans. He's cool on the Teen Titans, or have him do his own. Anyway, sorry, I'm ranting.
Anything else quick with this trailer?
Yes, one last thing. So again, it's looking pretty promising. You got some good rapport. I love Batman kind of recruiting people. That's a fun dynamic. That's him going around like Aquaman's throwing him against the wall. But we have one plot detail. It seems like they're trying to beat Infinity War with the plot of this film. It's very simple. I mean, it's a clean cut plot. I'll give them that. So it sounds like it could go pretty well. Steppenwolf, essentially Darkseid's minion, kind of like Darkseid's Ronan. Think Ronan the Accuser for Darkseid. That's what Steppenwolf is. Steppenwolf's looking for 3 mother boxes. Mother boxes are like the things that teleport you to Apocalypse. Like they're giant, like teleporting boxes. One's, from what I've heard, one's around in Atlantis. One the Amazons have hidden somewhere, and the other one, of course, and this is kind of like our Vision connection here. One's in Cyborg. That's what brought him to life. The mother box. Remember the thing that his father put inside him to bring him to life. That's a mother box, and much like Infinity War. Thanos is going to have to come to Earth to rip that gem out of Vision's head, and the same thing's going to happen here. That's why Cyborg's important. Again, Cyborg being important, but again, I'll give him the benefit of that, folks. I don't want to sound too sour on Cyborg. Moving on.
Okay. Guide Chief.
Right. Oh, one last thing. I'm hoping they're saving Green Lantern in the marketing. I would love if Green Lantern kind of came at some point in the film as a surprise to save the day, perhaps.
I'm also curious what they're going to do about the whole Superman being dead dynamic. I like how he's even mentioned in this movie. Or they're going to bring.
Because they're dreading the fact they're going to have to bring him back because they kind of botched the whole death of Superman thing.
Right.
But, he's going to be back.
I kind of have some faith that they'll do it well.
Again, I just think my optimistic view is that they're going to just pretend Batman v Superman didn't happen. They're just going forward with a better movie.
I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think the first half of the movie is probably going to be getting Superman back in some capacity. Anyways. So we need to speed through these things, man, because we're spending too much time on individual things. So,
hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
What? And he's frozen. All right. Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hear you now. Okay, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman looks visually interesting. A lot of cool Amazon battles. The lasso is looking really cool. Really good. It needs more than action. I can't really fault the trailer on that. I'm just saying, Wonder Woman. There's a lot more to her than just kind of action. I want the Wonder Woman who's going to it's the Wonder Woman who kind of is a public figure. She's like friend to children. She's like she kind of represents a lot of stuff. I don't want her just to be kind of an action figure.
It's funny because I think there's a lot going on in the trailer that's just kind of in the background that hints at all that stuff, but the trailer obviously very much is the action. And I agree, to me it very much kind of feels like generic action that we've seen before from the DCU. It feels like, honestly, I know that it's a different director, but the action itself feels very Snyder-esque, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because, of course, Zack Snyder does visuals very well. But the one thing this movie does have going for it, Dragon, is that it's got a big scope to it, and you can tell that based on the trailer. There's World War I stuff going on. There's Amazonian mythology stuff going on. This whole kind of cross cultures thing going on with Chris Pine. And
I'm just saying that.
I honestly think the trailer when I first saw it, I liked it. Every time I see the trailer, I appreciate it a little less for the reason you mentioned is because I think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, But every time there is something interesting, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, and then you're just Wonder Woman being a freaking badass action hero, you know?
It's like all I'm saying is like before we move on, all I'm saying is like again, Wonder Woman. It's so far it's grabbed me. That's my only concern with the movie though, is if it doesn't kind of focus on kind of the reasons we love Wonder Woman. That's what's going to turn me. Also, Etta Candy was a great pull. She's a classic Wonder Woman character at the end there. Really awesome. We got her.
Yeah. Oh, I like her. I really like her.
Okay. Lightning fast. I'm going to mention this. I know you don't want to spend too much time on this. Suicide Squad. Basically, the footage we got at Comic-Con didn't really show anything new. All it did was really they were showing that's another well-edited trailer. Really, it's another.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm in the camp that's just absolutely like. I think the first 2 trailers for Suicide Squad that was perfect. That's all I needed to see is Suicide Squad. And it feels to me like they're releasing one every other week, and it's just kind of overkill at this point.
All I can mention without getting too into it is just 2 details I noticed and that made this trailer kind of special.
Because I feel like I've seen half the movie at this point. It's like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 syndrome.
Anyway, 2 things. One, I think I'm very happy with being kind of a fan of the Suicide Squad stuff that we've seen in the past. It's showing a bit of Deadshot and Flags and Rick Flags dynamic, which is cool. It's basically Deadshot kept not respecting authority, kind of building a bond over that. That sounds really. That's showing like little signs of that in the trailer, which I'm really looking forward to. Making Deadshot important. That's important. Let's see. Also, there's a swirling ring of trash in the sky. I'm just them quoting a line. I'm not going to tell you the specifics of that, but that's just kind of showing kind of some hints at what might be going on.
See, even cool. I think even that's a spoiler because now I'm going to be freaking looking throughout the whole movie like, well, what's the swirling ring of trash in the sky? Thanks, Dragon. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, here's the one that stole the show at Comic-Con. This was probably the best trailer. Lego Batman.
You really think it's the best? Wow.
I gotta tell you though, Lego Batman seems really fun. It's between Justice League and Lego Batman for me. On the DC side of Comic-Con.
Okay. I feel like there was one quick. Oh, you know what? With the Suicide Squad, I do want to mention one quick thing that I saw. I actually did see the Joker promotional TV spot, and there's one shot that really stood out to me. You know what it is?
What is it?
It's where he's holding his tattooed hand up to his face.
Oh, yes.
His hand is tattooed with a smile.
See, that's when the tattoos work for me. I like those.
And that's exactly like, as soon as I saw the tattoos, that's exactly what I was hoping he'd do with it. So seeing that in action, I was like, yes, that's you got it, Leto. You got it.
The only 3 tattoos I like on the Joker is the J teardrop and the 2 hands.
Oh, I don't like the J teardrop at all. I think that's so fucking Hot Topic.
I like that because it might reference the Jason Todd thing. That's why I like that. It's kind of
That's an if.
Regardless, I think out of all of them, I can accept that one because it's a J. It's
okay.
Anyway, that and also the one on his arm. Yeah. Right, Lego Batman. Looks great. Looks very funny. I mean, I love just Will Arnett is making it great. Just going gasp.
I think this is a conundrum with you and me, BlueDragonFive. This is like a very unique situation here. I love the first half of this trailer with Alfred setting the Batcave computer on child lock. I think that idea is hysterical.
Remember Ray Fiennes?
Yep. As soon as Michael Cera comes into the picture, I'm a big Michael Cera defender. I love Scott Pilgrim versus the
I'm
World.
usually the antagonist of Michael Cera.
I think Michael Cera as Robin sounds so freaking obnoxious in this movie that it kind of kills the trailer dead in its tracks for me. I hate the whole gag about like the pants, like, come on, Batman, let's get grooving. I'm like, shut up. This is why people hate you, Michael Cera.
Well, you know what's so bizarre about that? Because I don't know why. Just as doing the voice of Robin, he doesn't really strike me as like ostensibly Michael Cera.
Well, it's funny because he isn't doing his typical like, oh, well, I'm just kind of like this awkward, I'm just this awkward guy,
Usually what I hate about the guy, that might be why. I don't know. It's just
he's playing it a little bit more flamboyantly than he usually does. I'll give him that.
Because, like in my brain, I'm not instantly recognize him as Michael Cera's why. I'm not over the moon for this Robin. I'm saying okay, I don't mind him. Like I was fearing I was going to hate him because he was Michael Cera. So far, I can live with this Robin.
I'm really looking forward to hearing Galifianakis as the Joker. We didn't get that. We got a shot of the character, but not the voice.
Yeah. I love the Batcave. I think that you see almost all the Batmobiles throughout all the eras of Batman are in that thing. I am so blown away. That Batcave.
There's going to be so many
awesome.
Batman Easter eggs, Dragon. It's not even going to be funny.
I know. I am so looking forward to it. I love all the alternate costumes. Like there was Krampus, Batman Santa suit. The attic line's hilarious. There are a lot of fantastic lines in this trailer, and I think the creme de la creme though is life doesn't give you seatbelts.
Oh God!
And again, it's just we got a quick glance at Gordon. We don't know anything about who's voicing him, but a quick glance at Gordon, which is neat. Anyway, though, however, again, I think the hilarious thing was the ending. There was just Batman super apologetic and responsible to Robin in the car.
Oh yeah, that is good. That is good.
So he's like, just put my arm right over here, and we're just gonna ease at it. So, point is, I have so much. It's so sad that League of Batman looks like it's going to be far more consistently entertaining than Batman v Superman.
Oh God! Oh God!
You can imagine on some level how much that crushes. You gotta imagine how much that crushes me when because I saw another awesome Lego Batman trailer before Batman v Superman. You gotta imagine my disappointment afterwards.
I really hope that they maintain the Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill as Superman and Green Lantern thing, because I thought that was one of the fucking funniest parts of the Lego movie.
We'll see again. That will kind of confirm the thing if they're in the same universe or not.
Right.
I think it might. I think they might be. So we'll see. Anyways, the point is, Lego Batman's looking good. There's this and Justice League from the DC side really stole the show for me. Okay, we had Gotham, and a lot of these TV show ones that they did was they. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
A lot of the.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
A lot of the DC, the TV show trailers, they really kind of recap the shows, and then at the very tail end, they had like a few seconds of footage.
Yeah.
So with Gotham, we do have a lot of news attached to it on the side. This is breaking news you haven't heard yet. So basically, what we saw. So basically, at the end of the Gotham trailer, what we saw a few images, and I have some explanation behind some of them. We got some Court of Owls seating because we know season 3 gonna be all about Court of Owls, which is cool. We saw Mrs. Peabody coming back, and Hugo Strange is definitely going to be in the season. It looks like he's going to be in prison, which is seemingly cool. We see Babs and Tab. Babs and Tabs. They're buddying up this coming season, which worries me slightly, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's not a good combination.
But here's the coolest bit of footage before I tell you some news. Bit of footage though was I love this so much. We saw a Talon. I mean, it's not the most impressive looking Talon, but the point is, it was a Talon about to fight Alfred. It was so cool.
Yes. You
gotta remember, all I can tell you is like the Talons are some of the most fiercest, coolest assassins in the Batman comics. I mean, short of the League of Assassins, of course, but you know what I mean. Like, they're really cool themed assassins to the Court of Owls. They're really cool. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so here's some news. We're gonna have the Cult of Jerome. Basically the big Joker following is gonna be this season.
Oh boy. Okay, that could be pulled off really well.
And remember, we believe their leader has been revived, so that might build up until the point where Jerome finally joins them or leads them or something. Okay.
Like how Tyrell Wellick is being built up in Mr. Robot this season.
Maybe, I don't know. So again, here with the majority of this news, before I get into it, I just want to preface all this by saying I'm genuinely terrified that this season will actually be insane, because people are saying, "Oh, season 2 is crazy." No, I'm serious, folks. The news I'm about to drop on you, I'm genuinely afraid that this season might be a little crazy.
Okay, and you've been holding this out on me, so let's hear it.
Okay, so the Cult of the Jerome, something we've been calling already, so that's not a surprise. We know Gotham's going to be very crime-ridden. It's going to be needing a vigilante. They're saying they're really building up the need for a vigilante. Whether that's going to be Bruce Wayne and Ski Master or not, I don't know. But,
or maybe
it's going to be crazy.
Just Jim Gordon being Batman, like he usually is.
Perhaps, but still, it's Gotham's going to be super crime with all the escaped monsters at the end of season 2. Barbara and Tabitha are they're going to be having a nightclub called the Sirens, or the Gotham Sirens, which is a reference to the Gotham City Sirens. It does tick me off, but I'm going to table that. We're going to have Bruce's doppelganger is going to have an arc, which
I honestly can't fucking wait for.
I got to tell you, the way they describe it sounds kind of interesting. Like, basically, it's Bruce's doppelganger kind of learning what his purpose is. He has no idea what his purpose is.
I just think it's so silly and out of left field, and it's like the most nonsensical way you could have possibly cliffhang season 2.
I gotta tell you, just reading the script, it sounds bizarrely interesting. Like, hey, Bruce is kind of learning his own purpose, and Okay, here's the big, folks. Here's the biggie, especially coming from me. This is the biggie. Oh, yeah. Okay, it's twofold. One, Gordon's occupation is not going to be with the GCPD.
Oh, no.
It's going to be he's a bounty hunter hunting down the monsters for cash. That's insanity number one.
What?
Number one.
What show is this?
Well,
oh dear, how are they gonna even like work in the GCPD now? Oh god, that's awful.
Would you believe if I said it gets crazier? Would you believe me?
No, but I'm kind of inclined to just go along with it. So what do you got?
If you thought Bounty Hunter wasn't crazy enough, it's been revealed that either by the season break or by the end of the season, it's been basically Ben McKenzie gave the interviewer an exclusive here saying Gordon may take on another persona.
Oh fuck! So basically,
those were the exact words.
Shit.
Now that doesn't mean he's not Jim Gordon anymore. That means that Jim Gordon might become another character. Now, whether that's an iconic character now, we don't know, or he becomes actually Batman.
It could be that he actually,
which he did in the comics. I'll remind you, in the comics.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, and that inspires Bruce Wayne. I have no idea. It sounds crazy, right? I'm not just.
I mean, that would be a good way to get Batman into the show, and they do have the excuse that it was done in the comics, so.
Any of these all these descriptions do sound pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, it sounds way out there.
So I'm genuinely terrified of this new season. So we're gonna see what
I just they can't fuck with the Bullock and Gordon dynamic too much. It's like if they do that, if they keep Bullock and Gordon separated, that is the main driving force of the show is that dynamic.
Well, remember, Gordon's going to come back to Gotham, but as a bounty hunter.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, if Bullock's going to be, running the GCPD, they're not really going to have a lot of scenes together, I wouldn't think.
True. Well, we'll see how that goes. The point is, just Gotham, a lot of craziness swirling right now. So, okay, Flash. Let's talk about Flash. We're not allowed to say just they're doing
I watched
Flash.
The trailer. It looked pretty interesting. I think, Flashpoint seems like an interesting direction to go in. Flash is definitely one of those shows that's just kind of been on my to-watch list, but I'm just super busy and don't really, I still haven't fully gone through Fargo or Daredevil or anything like that, so I'm slowly going through my TV, but...
Well, look, without giving too much away for Flash for Tiki or anyone else who hasn't seen Flash, all I can really tell you is that, they're doing Flashpoint, which is a big deal, in which kind of Flash goes back in time and screws up the timeline in a big way. Right. It's kind of the premise of season 3 here.
And I love
which is cool.
A good time in that story.
Really and if anyone wants to get a feel of how that story is going to go, watch the animated film Flashpoint. There's an animated film; it's pretty good. My favorite idea of this, and this is it's loosely based off the book, and it's a really cool idea of Reverse Flash, who he basically the point of Flashpoint is he goes back in time and he stops the Reverse Flash from killing his mom. And in doing that, he now has Reverse Flash in a cell, and he's just kind of critiquing, kind of gloating over Flash, and it ends on this great line where he says, "Now who's the villain, Flash?"
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Which is really cool, and I'm looking forward to that dynamic because I love Reverse Flash in that show. Yeah, Arrow, real quick, it looks interesting, but then again, so does...
I mean, I watched the trailer, but I could not make any sense out of it, really. I think I'm just too far gone with that show.
Just as always, the Arrow trailer looks interesting, but cautiously. It looks cautiously interesting. That looks, again, they burned me so much, and the last 2 seasons have burned me. I don't know.
So I've heard.
But I will say what I liked about this show is that it looks like the Green Arrow is leading a new Team Arrow, kind of ragtag vigilantes, which is a cool idea, I think. And we have a new mysterious archer that's probably going to be Malcolm Merlin again. Which I'll bet you, if I could bet $1 million, I bet you it's going to be Malcolm, because John Barrowman's going to appear in all the CW shows for all the coming seasons. I'm going to bet you the mysterious Archer character is going to be the other mysterious Archer character. It's going to be Malcolm Merlin. Okay. Legends of Tomorrow. Really not a lot here. Just pretty much what we already knew about Legends of Tomorrow.
I didn't even bother watching it.
I'm just going to mention it real quick. Is that we have Hourman, which I'm looking very forward to because Hourman's such a cool idea. He takes a pill or a serum and he gets superpowers for an hour. It's a cool idea. which also they've seen in the Justice Society of America, not the Justice League, but Justice Society, which is cool. We got Damien Dark being kind of a villain in the past. And last thing is that our heroes, our legends here, they're becoming the new Time Masters because the Time Masters kind of out of commission since last season. Okay, animated DC films. So this one's just very little covered.
Really quick though, do you want to cover Justice League Action?
Well, yeah, it's going to be after we go through the movies.
Oh, okay. Just checking. Okay.
So DC animated films. We should probably talk about the Killing Joke controversy. So Killing Joke will be out tomorrow.
That. Yeah.
So Killing Joke will be out tomorrow digitally, and then August 2nd will be out on hard copy DVD, which is how I like my DC animated.
So you're going to wait until August 2nd?
Yeah.
I respect that. Okay. I'll probably do.
And it premiered at Comic-Con, just people could actually view it for the first time ever, and I'm sure I've only seen the GIF of this, and I've heard kind of people the controversy of this because I've been trying to avoid seeing too much of the movie. But so they basically, in case you didn't notice, and we might have done this before, is that they've added kind of to fill out the time because it's a really short story if you just adapted it per the page. They basically added kind of a prologue, so it won't trump the story. Just add a little extra to it in the beginning. And it's a Batgirl thing, and apparently at some point in that we're going to see Barbara Gordon. You're seeing Batgirl get a little intimate with Batman, and this is an idea was in the animated series, and especially hinted heavily at Batman Beyond that Barbara and Bruce had a relationship, and that's really what they're hinting at with that. But here's the thing: out of any story, it's one thing to do that because I just have mixed feelings on that because as a kid I didn't really pick up on it, but now
out of any story, this is a story about Jim Gordon being kind of like a failed father in his own mind, and so the focus should be on Jim Gordon. The focus, if they're going to do a flashback or whatever, it should be like Jim Gordon and Barbara maybe visiting a circus when Barbara was a child. I mean, how ironic would that be? You know what I mean? I don't know.
I'm just saying what's bothering me most about this is because it's a story that is predicated on Jim Gordon going through the absolute worst torture of his life, and I don't want kind of the thing in the back of my mind being there's that Batman saving his friend Jim Gordon despite the fact he's kind of most likely slept with his daughter.
It's unnecessary. I don't think it honestly, if it's just the first part of the movie, I might just fucking fast forward over it. I know that's cheating in a way, but
so I'm just saying it's something that that along with the animation, the two things that have me scared on this movie is the only reason I'm not completely, absolutely, 100% sold on this film.
I like
the animation
style, but
I'm just saying I'm caught. I don't know. I'm just a little worried about it. That's all. Because we'll see. Anyway, so the other three movies that were confirmed at the DC animated panel were Justice League Dark, which was a movie that was in development for a while. It's going to feature Constantine and Swamp Thing, which, given that's out of the Justice League, we don't have to worry about the Justice League forcing their way into this in-continuity film. It should be fine. Because those are
Swamp
two cool
Thing
characters.
Excites me. Yeah.
And people love Constantine from the TV shows.
Of course.
And, Swamp Thing's a really cool character I'm more willing to get into because, Scott Snyder's written them and also Alan Moore's written them. Swamp Thing's had really good writers attached to him. Judas Contract, unfortunately, again, in continuity, and in the Teen Titans... a big, huge Teen Titans story of the kind of the Slade terrorist story. And I know you don't really know what that is, Diggy, but it's...
I know who Slade is, but I don't know of that particular arc.
Well, it's a big deal where really it's a real personal blow to the Titans, and the fact that it's going to be with kind of Titans that we haven't built any attachment with, I'm really worried about it. But I'm just expecting it to kind of not meet my expectations already. Last thing that does have me really excited, though, out of all of these, Justice League Dark sounds interesting, but I'm still cautious. I'm just not investing too much in that. Last one, most important one, Batman and Harley Quinn. That's the working title for the film, I guess. A movie about Batman and Harley Quinn, led by Bruce Timm.
Ooh. That sounds kind of interesting. I'm down for that.
I really hope they're going to announce involvement, because so far they haven't, but we'll see.
Didn't you also say that Adam West and Burt... I know it's not confirmed, but Adam West and Burt Ward are working on some sort of voice work?
Yes, they're doing some sort of 60s Batman project that has not been revealed, and I'm still hoping it's going to be kind of either an adaptation or just kind of they've done 60s Batman comics, so they need something in the line of that. I assume that's what they're working on.
I'd love for them to just do like a straight up 60s Batman animated movie. I know I'm all blurring. I apologize.
That's exactly what I hope they're going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, also, one last thing I should mention. This is a long shot, and this is just my dream project. I love to see because I've always pitched like an alternate Harley Quinn origin of maybe her having a relationship with Batman. Again, not saying I want to force. I'm just saying I actually.
I'm not sure about that. I am not. I'm not down with that.
I don't have time to tell you the whole pitch, right? Well, how do I win you over on that? I would win you over on that, but basically, she'd be like kind of like a Harvey Dent inside Arkham Asylum.
Okay.
Before really she became Harley Quinn.
Really quick, is there any news on the the alternate universe Justice League that we covered?
On the Justice League Gods and Monsters?
Yeah, Gods and Monsters. Yeah, is there any update on that?
No news on it yet, but I would imagine to hear stuff about that next year.
Okay, fair enough.
But again, though, I'm saying it'd be like a take on like Batman and Harleen Quinzel before Joker drove her insane, basically making the loss a little more. Again, I don't have time to go through the whole pitch. I'm saying they're not going to do that with this movie. I'm just saying it's going to be something involving Batman.
We don't have time to go through much of anything right now, so.
All right, so let's see. So Justice League Action looks really fun. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're leaning so hard on the comedy has me a little bit concerned, but at the same time, I really like what I've seen of the Batman. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm definitely willing to like actively kind of like look into the episodes, actively watch them, see if it catches my attention. It's not something that like if I'm not like enthralled with it, I'm not going to like keep up with it every week. But it does look very interesting. I really like the dynamic. I really like that they play with kind of like obscure characters mixed with like the big characters. I'm not a big fan of the animation style, though. That's the one thing I've got to say to it. The animation style to me is almost a little reminiscent of like the Family Guy, Seth MacFarlane caricatures of Justice League characters in a way. Do you see that at all, or is it just me?
I think that's just you.
Okay, fair enough.
Let me see real quick. I think it's a fun kind of it's kind of a fun reverential look at kind of the history of DC Comics. A bunch of kind of the DC characters, especially the obscure ones, kind of mixing it up a little bit. And what they're doing is kind of an 11-minute format, which basically what they were doing on DC Nation was Saturday morning shorts of DC characters, all from kind of the library of DC Comics. That was a really cool idea. This seems to be kind of a take on that. Which that's one more of that instead of Teen Titans Go. So I'm kind of getting my wish.
Yes. Like we need more superhero content on freaking Cartoon Network besides Teen Titans Go. Seriously.
Of course, we got some big names attached. We got Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and James Woods as Lex Luthor. We got a lot of good names on this.
I was kind of disappointed we didn't get a James Woods clip, but whatever. It's something to look forward to. It's fine.
Okay, one thing before we move on, just in the comics, something I'm really excited about.
Sure.
Batman, the animated series, is crossing over the Ninja Turtles following the other New 52 Batman crossover they had. So I'm pointing because it has Batman the animated series on. I'm instantly sold. I don't care. I'm buying it all. Because Batman the animated series.
Ninja Turtles is just like an added bonus.
I respect Ninja Turtles. I just never have time to get into them. But Batman the animated series, I'm sold.
Ninja Turtles is one of those things like I obsessed over when I was like 5 years old. So in the back of my mind, it's still there, but it's not something I've actively been a fan of for a long number of years.
Along the lines of Ninja Turtles, I had like Shaolin Showdown, Samurai Jack. I was perfectly, and Dragon Ball Z. I was perfectly content.
Dragon Ball Z, I was a much bigger fan of. Like Dragon Ball Z, I'm still a passionate fan of Dragon Ball Z. But anyways,
one is my interests were elsewhere around the Ninja Turtles time. So let's see. I guess we should move on to television then.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Mix our amalgam stuff. So let's start with Bates Motel. Oh God. Okay, so I have additional news, but let's start with the kicker. The big... I found out something made me even more mad. Can you believe it?
You know what? I hate the way that this news was actually announced. Did you see the video that Rihanna posted?
There's a video?
Yes, there's a video, and it's basically just Rihanna walking around backstage at Comic-Con, like, just fucking doing, like, a Snapchat thing. Like, hey, what's up, y'all? Guess what? I just got cast as Barry and Crane. Oh, yeah. Like, folks, we're not happy about this. Like, look, I've not really seen Rihanna act in anything. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt, but It seems like an out of left field choice. It really seems like an out of left field choice.
I'm going to tell you, T, I found something about this that made me so mad. I'm going to tell you what I found out. So, I found out how in God's green earth she became Marion Crane.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I found out how. So, apparently, again, Rihanna is Marion Crane. It's not I have anything against Rihanna, but as a very iconic, important character in the Psycho lore.
It seems like an unnecessary, like, risky casting choice. Either that or just, like, a stunt casting choice.
Like, I'm not saying this is one that... I'm saying, like, Emma Stone, anyone. Just literally anyone.
I mean, Emma Stone would have been fucking amazing, but you can't afford Emma Stone.
I thought I'm saying, just saying anyone, like, Emma Stone's, like, kind of like a best-case scenario. I'm saying anyone.
Right.
Anyone with acting experience. Here's the thing, Rihanna, with the exception of playing herself and a role in Home... She has never acted. Never.
That's exactly what terrifies us, folks. That's exactly what terrifies us.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you the stupid bleeping reason why.
Go for it.
Richard, it's because she...
Come on, get it out.
Because she's a fan of the show, and because it was mentioned that, hey, she's a fan of the show, and she, like, wanted the role, or she mentioned it at some point... Carmen Hughes and Gary Aaron, they lost their mind for a moment. It's basically Richard Pryor from Superman 3. He says, I'd love to be in that. And then she was cast. Just like Richard Pryor from Superman 3. The exact same thing.
Like, I could totally see Rihanna being this season's, like, Annika type character where she's just like the quote unquote nice girl who gets murdered by Norman in the first episode.
But not the nice girl. This is the
nice girl with all THE all caps, the nice girl.
Look, it's fine to have like a little it's a forced celebrity cameo, yada yada, It's one thing to do that. But why, Marion? I had no worries at all for season 5. I could just like bet all the money in the world. Now,
right.
It's the last one, and they broke me with the ending of season 4. You had me in your hands, and now
the ending of season 4 was brilliant. Season 4 as a whole was by far the best season of the show to date. But
okay, but here's some good news.
Okay, hit me.
They announced few details. We're going to have our three of our actors are going to be directing this season, which sounds interesting. We had Nestor Carbonell coming back as always to direct. We got Freddie Highmore is going to step in the directing chair this year.
That's exciting. We've always said he's written a couple episodes. We've always said he's got a knack for it.
And Max Theriot, he's going to be trying.
Interesting. Okay.
We'll see how that turns out. I'm looking forward to it. Speaking of which, last little detail about Dylan. Dylan will definitely be feeling the guilt upon learning about the murder. So he's going to be feeling guilt like he wasn't there. So that's something
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. 5. Yeah.
All right. You want to mention Walking Dead?
Sure, folks. There's not a lot there to Walking Dead. Again, like half of it is just kind of like recap. Like, Negan's got everyone in a vulnerable position. And he's going to smash someone's head in. It's a big dragon. The cliffhanger for Walking Dead season 6 basically drove everyone insane and pissed everyone off, so that's kind of like what they're dealing with. But the cool thing I want to say about Walking Dead is now that the show it's gone on so long where it feels like the zombies are just not even a focal point anymore. It just feels like legitimately what we have to worry about this season is Jeffrey Dean Morgan is Negan, and Negan is the best villain of the comic. So I have a lot of confidence. He showed up at the end of last season. A lot of confidence he's going to kick some ass. And then we also have the Kingdom. And we have the Kingdom ruled by former zookeeper Ezekiel, played by Harold Perrineau, who I'm a big fan of from Lost and Oz. And Ezekiel, Dragon, the big kind of money shot of this trailer is that we see Ezekiel carrying around his famed pet tiger, Shiva. So we're going to have a pet tiger on The Walking Dead next summer, and it's going to be amazing. Not too much to talk about other than that. I'm excited for Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I'm stoked to finally get the resolution to the Lucille cliffhanger. Other than that, I'm just excited the show's going to be back. Okay,
let's see. We got Blind Spot season 2. A little bit of share with that. We're going to learn more about Jane's past. We'll learn about her plan. It's So apparently she's been through. We're going to see her go through 3 months of intense training for her mission, and in a flashback. At least that was what was shown in the trailer, so we can see where that's going. Jane is definitely in trouble. She's going to be having a really strained relationship with her team now that they know she was kind of behind a lot of the bad stuff in season 1. So Blind Spot's looking up, and that's a good show. Jamie Alexander, Lady Sif, is in that show.
Did we get anything for Better Call Saul?
Nothing that I didn't really hear anything about Better Call Saul. I didn't seek it out either, so I don't believe so.
Okay, fair enough.
Maybe wrong though. We'll save for the Better Call Saul speculatory thing down the line. Right. Okay, last thing before we move on to a movie, Lucifer. Lucifer, his mother's escaped hell. We have again that's a good show. Detective Decker might learn the truth that he is in fact the devil. Because she's always shooting him down. Wherever he never lies to her. Says yes, I'm the devil. She never buys it.
Right.
Questioning kind of Lucifer's main squeeze, Maze, his bodyguard, kind of questioning her loyalty. And there's a hilarious line in the trailer, "Hello, lawyers," which I just think it's hilarious coming from Lucifer. He's addressing a room full of lawyers. "Hello, lawyers." Of course he knows lawyers. Lawyers always go down there. Okay, all right, let's mention Skull Island.
Okay, yeah, cool. Skull Island was definitely a highlight for me. I did not think we'd be seeing any footage of this so soon. I'm a little skeptical about some of it. The CG on Kong, it's very early stages. I like the design of Kong. I like how much taller Kong is compared to the 2005 Peter Jackson version. Most importantly, though, I think this movie's got a fucking solid cast. Between Tom Hiddleston, Samuel Jackson, John Goodman. I think this cast alone, it's definitely going to be like one of the more entertaining casts just on the human front. And I also like how they're not sticking with the whole Carl Denham, Jack Driscoll, Anne. I like how they're not sticking with the traditional King Kong characters. I like how they're kind of just modernizing it in a way. It feels fresh.
It does.
Go ahead.
It does strike me that John Goodman might be kind of like the director character in a way.
In a way, yes, but he's not Carl Denham. It's fine if they're archetypes, but just... And, not to say I have anything against the Carl Denham character. I think the Carl Denham character is one of the more interesting characters we've ever had in cinema, to a certain extent. But I just think it's interesting to kind of see these characters in a new light. I like the fact that the focus is more on Skull Island itself, with Kong as kind of like a backdrop. I think that's interesting.
Yeah. Skull Island looks really cool with literally giant skulls everywhere. It's really cool thing. I love. There's a great line in the trailer I think kind of sums up the movie in many ways. Seemingly, it's like basically you enter someone else's house to pick a fight. When you enter someone else's house, Kong's house, Skull Island, you're going to pick a fight.
Oh yeah.
Of course, the scale looks great in the trailer, and I think that's all I really got to say. I mean, it looks impressive, man. I might, if you give me another good trailer, I might see it.
Crossing my fingers that this does well, just so we can kind of lock down Godzilla versus King Kong. That's my main hope for this movie, is that it's a good stepping stone to that movie.
Speaking of good stepping stones, let's talk about bad stepping stones. We have DreamWorks making a lot of questionable.
What are you doing?
Basically, before they're going to do an amazing decision of How to Train Your Dragon 3, they got to make a few bad decisions along the way, essentially.
Yeah.
One of which is it's up in the air.
I refuse to watch the troll trailers. I can't watch the troll trailers. I refuse to watch them.
I did watch the troll trailers.
I have zero enthusiasm for that movie. I have zero, basically, unless this movie pulls a 21 Jump Street where it gets really good reviews, even though everyone was trashing it before it came out, then I'll go see it. But up until then, up until it gets the 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'm just staying the fuck away from this thing.
I'm saying it didn't meet my really low expectations, the trailer, but still, I'm not enthused at all. I'm saying I had a much worse picture in my mind of what the movie was going to be.
Okay.
But anyway, so Boss Baby, however,
it might seem like a weird complaint, but I don't like the fact that they kind of made the trolls more cutesy. I would have preferred it if they actually designed the trolls to look like the dolls, because then at least they could have done a Lego movie style thing with it. But since the trolls are basically just cutesy designs that are vaguely based on the shape and hair of the troll dolls, that to me is kind of like the thing that makes me not even want to check out the trailers.
I mean, look, you know what it is? I really don't understand why we need this film. Why, with the exception of the gag from Guardians of the Galaxy, Trolls have never been in popular demand.
I mean, I get it's the whole Lego Movie syndrome, though. Like, this is just kind of like a result of Lego Movie. That's all it is.
But
you know what I mean?
Lego Movie, it's not even in the same style as the Lego Movie. You know, I'm not saying Legos, but I mean, it's not like it's something representative of the product.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying, though. It's like post Lego Movie, it feels like a lot of people want to get this kind of stuff out there.
I kind of have to wonder about DreamWorks sometimes if they wonder like. Where they're halfway through production, and you know what? We kind of did this on a whim. Can we not put this out? It's too late. Okay, well, we got to continue with it.
That's probably how they felt about Home.
God. Anyway, so let me mention this, Boss Baby. Let me tell you why I have now I have my confidence is a little shaken, but let me tell you why initially I had confidence, and I still have a little bit of hope for this.
Okay.
As a good director, he has Tom McGrath, who directed Megamind, who directed really good. He's directed the majority of the Madagascar films, but he also directed some really good ones along the way. The Penguins Madagascar is a really fun movie. It's on Netflix. I recommend you check it out.
Yeah, I enjoyed the Nickelodeon series. Okay, so.
Penguins Madagascar, the movie is good, but also, again, my favorite DreamWorks movie is Megamind. He directed that, so I might own a watch on this one. Again, Megamind, a similar vein. I thought I had really low expectations for Megamind, then blew me away. So Boss Baby might be the same thing. We don't have a trail. We only have a poster and a cast. Our cast is really good. We have a really good cast.
Tell me cast.
Alec Baldwin is the baby. Patton Oswalt is essentially it's a baby in his.
I feel like Alec Baldwin has already voiced a talking baby. I feel like he's done that before in his career.
Patton Oswalt plays the baby's brother. Basically, he's like the narrator. It's like the 7-year-old brother to the baby is like the main is the kid in the movie, but there's like the narrator of like kind of looking back on it. I guess is Patton Oswalt.
Okay.
Lisa Kudrow is playing the mom.
Ooh, that's fun. Okay.
Jimmy Kimmel's playing the dad.
All right, fair enough.
And Steve Buscemi is playing the bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Now, the only reason I'm now hesitant on my support for this movie, the plot really, and the plot doesn't. The summation of the plot really has kind of scared me off a little bit. It sounds like a really dumb plot.
Okay.
But again, I gotta give it. I have to wait till a trailer because Tom McGrath, he surprised me before. I'll give him a shot.
To me, I just don't like the whole premise of the talking baby because I've never like when has a great movie ever come of that? Like 3 Men and a Baby is like the best movie that's ever come of that, and that movie is kind of like thoroughly mediocre when you watch.
Well, remember, it's not going to be an actual baby. It's going to be kind of like a walking, talking baby. It's going to be kind of like a Stewie Griffin of a baby. It's going to be like he does.
Well, I don't ever think those kind of gags are funny, though. Anyways.
Again, I think if any director could pull it off, it'd be Tom McGrath. That's my
fair enough.
thing.
Fair enough.
They can bizarre out
there. I remind you of like the 5 Baby Geniuses movies we have. I swear to God, there's like 5 of them now.
Yeah, but those were like going out of their ways to make an interesting thing with toddlers. I mean, this is like I don't know.
Fair enough.
Sounds like I think they're going for an absurd thing. Last thing, the biggest kind of like head slappiest thing. Shrek 5 been confirmed 2019.
I mean, I don't honestly have a huge issue with this just because it's been a while since we've had a Shrek movie and it could always like redeem the franchise. Just like I don't have a huge issue with Cars 3. Cars 3 was always inevitable and Cars 3
Oh, sorry. I thought I meant
No. I'm saying like I don't have a huge issue with Cars 3 existing just because A, it was always inevitable, and B, there's always a chance that they can return the franchise to its roots and get it back on the right track after Cars 2.
Sure.
And I kind of feel the same way about Shrek. Like Shrek 2 is probably up there with like my top 3 or 4 DreamWorks movies. I don't really care for any of the other Shrek movies, including the original one. But having said that, there is definitely kind of a nostalgic connection to Shrek right now. So I'd be willing to see a Shrek 5. I wouldn't be like over the moon excited about it or anything, but I'd be curious. Especially considering like how much Disney has evolved over the past years since a Shrek movie's come out. That's mostly what I'd be curious to see is how DreamWorks would lampoon the current Disney as opposed to like the 90s Renaissance Disney that they were lampooning in the original Shrek movies. You know what I'm saying there? I think there's some potential. Anyways.
Yeah, I'm just saying, how many times can you end Shrek? Shrek 4 had a good ending. Leave it that way.
I still haven't seen Shrek 4.
See, Shrek 4 is a mix. See, Shrek 3 is the anti-Toy Story 3, but Shrek 4 had it was a mixed bag. It had a lot of good bits to it, but also had a lot of dumb bits to it.
I have seen Puss in Boots, and I really enjoyed Puss in Boots.
Yeah, that's a good one. But anyway. I'm just saying, Shrek 5 is like, Shrek 4 is like, just leave. That was a good ending. It was like I said, the final chapter. The movie's just the final chapter. Don't bring. Like, how many times can you end Shrek?
Shrek pleads the fifth. That's what the title's going to be. Shrek pleads the fifth.
Oh God, I think you're right.
It'd be very appropriate.
Okay. Let's move on to some good news. A lot of good news from Marvel. Okay, so it's a big breaking news. Brie Larson is officially confirmed as Captain Marvel.
I like that it's not Emily Blunt. Don't get me wrong. I don't have a big problem with Emily Blunt. I just think that casting would have been super predictable. And I think with Brie Larson, she's a little bit more of a wild card, even though I really like her. Dragon, have you seen Room yet?
I have access to it, so I mean, at some point I probably will, but I have not seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely check out Room at least before, like, we get, like, footage for this movie, because it definitely demonstrates how, like, even though in Room she's in a very vulnerable position a lot of the movie, it demonstrates an inner strength to her and her acting ability, which I think, like, inner strength, kind of like we were saying with Wonder Woman, I think inner strength is going to be a big part of Captain Marvel as much as outer strength is. So,
let me say this though. I know nothing about Brie Larson. I haven't seen Room yet, so I will say this though. I'm just I'm so tickled and delighted by the fact that Chris Evans and a whole bunch of fans, they really went up the bat for Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. I just love that one captain kind of okayed the other captain. I think it's so sweet.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what's sold for me. Like literally Chris Evans, Captain America, went up the bat for a fellow captain. That's so nice. Put that on a greeting. Put that on a mug or something. That's so sweet.
I want you to take a guess at how long the wait was to meet Captain America at Disneyland.
Wait, you mean when you say Captain America, you mean just the guy?
I mean a guy in a Captain America suit, not Chris Evans. No.
I know. I'm saying, is there anything particularly special about this cap, or is it just
it's literally just like Captain America. It's like picture a Disney costume, but Captain America.
How big's how big's the weight?
How big is the wait? 90 minutes.
90 minutes. Wow.
90 minutes. So will you excuse me? Dragon, every time I walked by there, I really, really, really wanted to get a video of Cap saying hi specifically to you. I really wanted to just go up there and say, like, hey, my friend BlueDragonFive is a big fan. I was wondering if you could give him a shout out. I really wanted to do that. But you understand. But you understand, 90-minute waits, I couldn't. I wanted to so badly, but I couldn't.
If you were a cruel man, you'd have him say, I'm with you till the end of the line. That would have broke me. Okay, well, speaking of breaking things, let's talk about the awesome, the incomparable Luke Cage trailer.
Yes. I've waited until tonight to see this, and goddamn, it's badass. It's pretty badass.
Hey, I was just sold from Luke Cage from the get-go because I knew this was kind of on the horizon. He was Luke Cage, who's just, he's a guy with bulletproof skin is such a cool concept, but also kind of a guy who's like not your... The guy's not a fully formed hero, but now we're getting to see kind of him becoming the social crusader sort of thing. He's in Harlem specifically, which the fact it's in the Marvel universe after the Hulk broke Harlem is a great setting. Yeah,
that's interesting.
So again, Luke Cage starts in a broken place that's kind of in repair, which again, it might be kind of like, think about it, it might be kind of like a Avengers sort of how in the Kingpin rose to power because of the events of the Avengers. It might be kind of after the Hulk, now Harlem's kind of in an uproar because of what the Hulk did.
Sure.
Anyway, so basically, they've also given a bit of a premise on the trailer here, which I was interested by. It's Luke Cage in Harlem. He's making a difference. He's confronting his past, which was hinted at in Jessica Jones, like where he might learn through a flashback, kind of like we've had with the other shows, of how Luke Cage got his powers, because he was kind of in basically like an underground super soldier program. Kind of.
Mm-hmm.
It's It looks promising. It looks really cool. Like him, bending a car door to catch a guy. It's gonna be
Luke Cage is definitely the money shot of the trailer. I think we can all agree to that. That is the shot where it's like, okay, that is like purified, like whoop ass in a can right there.
Yeah, it was another really cool wander down a hallway when people are just all the
yes. I'm glad you mentioned that hallway fight, total hallway fight.
I just love that. I want that to be the that really neat. I just want that to be in every Marvel Netflix.
I'm sure it will be, Dragon. I'm sure it will be.
Okay, let's see. So point is, Luke Cage looks really cool. I love the fact there's like a little great nod to the costume because you're not going to start on that instantly. Thinking Luke Cage's costume is really simple. Just give him a yellow shirt.
I just want him in like full on blaxploitation mode, running around like Luke Cage, hero for hire.
Yep.
Like the afro and the freaking pump, the pump shoes. I want all of that.
I think they'll probably reference that in some way, but I still want the
maybe a flashback, perhaps like a flashback to a younger Luke Cage, and he's totally like that.
No, don't rule it out. But I will say this: I just love that there's a great little nod in the costume he's going to be wearing for the majority of it, where he's because they always build up the costume.
Mm-hmm.
I would love it if I love that he has like the gold, the yellow gold inside the hoodie, so you can see when he has the gray hoodie up, he has like the gold inside.
Right.
It's really awesome. Okay, really brief thing. Daredevil season 3. We got like a little 3 being revealed. Again, big surprise, right? The most unsurprising news at Comic-Con. Daredevil gets a season 3.
No, say that. Hey, wait, hold on, Dragon. Say that again.
Daredevil season 3 is getting made.
Well, that went poorly, but you get the point.
Yes. Big surprise, right? But it's cool. I wonder if my only question is if that confirms 2017 or not. I hope it does, because that means we're getting 3 Netflix shows in 2017, which would be awesome. Okay, so Iron Fist next on the docket.
Very brief, but I like what I saw, and I think anyone that was complaining about him being cast as a white guy is fucking stupid and doesn't understand the character.
Again, it's just even I know very little about Iron Fist. The premise is like a guy learns about another culture. You need that.
It's like you don't get you don't get to complain about racial whitewashing if you don't even take the time to research the character for 5 minutes. I'm sorry. It's like I don't mean to get all on my soapbox about that, but it's just kind of like I love what I see about the character though. Don't get me wrong. I really like how it starts out where the kid's in the very idyllic place, and then a transition to him kind of like shaking, like strapped down in what looks like a mental hospital bed, like really kind of intense transition there.
Yeah, because basically this is what I can glean from the trailer. It looks really impressive. I'm not sure if I believe someone murdered his parents while they were in kind of like a Himalayan Arctic thing. I don't know if I got to look back and see if the plane crashes in the comics or not, but the point is, like, he's in a plane, and then the plane apparently crashes, and he loses his parents, and he's trained by the monks. He's going to the mystical land to kind of learn his again, very kind of basically kind of a Netflix Doctor Strange is what they're going for with Iron Fist.
Right.
And all they've said in terms of the premise of the trailer is that he's reclaiming everything. Danny Rand's reclaiming everything he lost, which he lost his family, lost a lot of stuff. Basically it's a sort of enlightenment, and I assume walking back after learning what he's learned in New York. Going back to Hell's Kitchen, he's going to get committed because people think he thinks he has magical powers, and he's going to be committed at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's interesting. Don't forget, we're going to have our Jessica Jones character, Jerry Hogarth, because I keep screwing up Hogarth. Yeah. That's why I can't.
Yes. You keep screwing up Hogarth. Hogarth is a very memorable name for a very
no. I mean,
very
because I keep reason. Saying. I know I keep saying like a different Hogarth because of that. That's why.
Okay, fair enough.
Trying to keep it straight so I don't screw up
Hogarth.
Point is, so we're going to see Jerry Hogarth. She ties into Iron Fist. She's basically kind of like the lawyer who's kind of looking into like if he's actually who he says he is, because again he would inherit a lot of money, because again he's on a plane, probably a private plane. His parents are rich. Okay, so Defenders got a really brief thing. We saw the logos make the Defenders logo, and we have 2 important things. One is who is Danny Rand, which is an in-joke of like, no one knows who Iron Fist is still.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, remember, Iron Fist and Luke Cage are supposed to become the best of buddies, so I'm looking forward to that. And a big thing, huge thing at the end. I don't know, did you watch the little Defenders thing?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Stick is going to be in Defenders.
Yes, that excited me. That was like, okay, that's like Stick is basically going to be the Nick Fury of the Defenders, if the clip has anything to believe.
And I'm still convinced that big shadowy guy from Daredevil season 1, I think he's going to be one of the bad guys for Defenders.
Okay, I can see it.
Okay, so basically the Stick's line is, you four think you can save New York. You can't even save yourselves. Then we have this really cool Defenders music too. Remember the trailer music at the end? It's like this really cool trailer music, and this is 2017. Oh man, I'm looking forward to it.
It was Nirvana, Come As You Are. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really great choice for that show. That's okay, next, Doctor Strange. Speaking of really cool stuff.
I mean, all I can say, like, this movie looks fucking badass. I think Mads Mikkelsen has the potential to be the single best Marvel villain we've seen in the MCU thus far.
Well, I think it's a little early to make that claim, Tiki.
I just love his performance. I love everything he's brought to the performance so far. I love his look. I love the way... I love his mannerisms. I love his voice. I love everything about his character so far that I've seen. That's the thing. I think he's going to have a really, really good presence in the movie.
Well, it's not counting Netflix, of course, right?
Well, no. I digress.
I just want to make sure. I just want to clarify. Anyway, so boys, we got a lot of really cool reality-bending kaleidoscope shots.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. It's going to be inevitable that people are going to compare this to Inception, and I'm even comparing it to Inception. It looks like fucking Inception.
It's kind of Inception. It's almost Inception done better because it's amazing looking.
Like, I don't have a problem with it because I've always thought that Inception should have a sequel, and god damn it, if Christopher Nolan is going to be on his whole no sequel thing, then fuck it. This is the closest thing we're ever going to get, and it looks amazing. And you're right, it does look like Inception done better than Inception.
So I do love kind of the kaleidoscope thing because I've been just basically describing to people. It looks kind of like a kaleidoscope, and then we actually put a kaleidoscope in the Marvel logo, which is awesome. Which
right.
It's your psychedelic 60s. It's looking really cool.
I love how the trailer builds up to his cape, and then by the end we see him in action scenes in the cape, which is really cool.
I know it sounds so simple. I just love seeing Doctor Strange and Baron Mordo running down the streets in their costumes and the cape flowing in the windows.
Oh, I hear you. I totally hear you. Yeah.
Also, we get to see Wong, Doctor Strange in his sidekick, kind of his Alfred / Robin, Wong, which is really cool. Again, we saw Mads Mikkelsen's character. Again, I haven't really spoiled myself on who that is yet, so we'll see how.
I'm just saying, I love the voice. I love how he almost kind of whispers his dialogue in some ways, and yet his dialogue is incredibly intimidating. I think that's a great combination.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm saying, if you like that, I mean, you would love Hannibal because he's far more.
Hannibal's on my to-do list. You know that's up there.
I'm just saying, it sounds like you would love Hannibal if you.
I probably would love Hannibal.
This is really the first. Remember, this is the first time we really heard Mikkelsen in the trailer. So it's just like,
Yeah, you're right. But don't you agree, though? His voice is fucking chilling in this, I think.
I know. I told you, he was one of my Doctor Doom picks back when we did the Fantastic Four pitch.
Sure,
he's the guy.
At this point, he is kind of like turning into like that obligatory, like creepy villain role, which I think is fine. I think he does it really well. Actually, he is going to be Jyn Erso's father in Rogue One, though, so that's not going to be a villain role for him.
Oh, well, he's a versatile guy. He'll be fine.
Okay. Anyway, so
let's see. So again, the skyscraper shot is probably the game changing. Like, oh my god, if you thought that one shot from when Doctor Strange when Doctor Strange was falling after she did the thumb thing to him, like if you thought that was impressive, this took he basically became widescreen with skyscrapers. Oh my god.
Right.
And of course, the Shambhala, which is a reference to Doctor Strange. There's a comic called Into Shambhala. I have no idea what that is. I tried doing a cursory look before. I didn't have enough time to get anywhere with it. But with the Wi-Fi password, it's a fun way of working that in there, whatever that is.
Okay.
It's like a dimension. It's a location of some kind, Shambhala. So I'm assuming it's like a dimension. It's not his home. It's from what I could find. It's not his home, but I don't know. Okay. Quickly, Spider-Man. Not a lot here. Just it feeds in because unfortunately, folks, we did not get a chance to see the Spider-Man footage because you're really kind of swooping that one up. But remember, the big reason we don't have any Spider-Man footage is because they just started shooting. So that's another reason why there's not a whole lot of Spider-Man footage. It's pretty much high school stuff.
Sure.
Basically, they're saying it definitely feeds into the John Hughes feel, the John Hughes vibe. Apparently, there's some rumored Vulture footage, so I think they might be confirming Vulture. I don't know. That's all rumor. It's all speculation. Here's something that is real, though, and I'm really looking forward to. Because traditionally, when they play they play actual score from the movie when they bring out the guest, and the score for Spider-Man sounds great.
Cool.
Because they worked in the Spider-Man into the theme. It's like strings of a violin plays the Spider-Man theme as the score. It sounds really cool.
Oh, I like that. It's about time they did something like that with the score.
Oh, Tiki, everyone out there, listen. Just play the 5-minute comic con interviews. Listen when they bring out the rest of the kids from the high school cast, and that's the music. Okay, so that's Spider-Man: Homecoming. That's all we know about that. So next, we should talk about Legion.
Legion. Okay, this looks very promising to me.
So you know anything? You find out anything about Legion? You want me to kind of inform you slightly? I know very little about it. But
I probably know just as little about it as you do. So,
well, Legion. It's unclear if they're going to do this in the show or not, but they're probably not going to do it because they're afraid of continuity with the X-Men right now. Legion in the comics is Xavier's son.
Oh, I doubt they do that here.
Yeah, so you can. But the point is, they're still going off the basis of the character, fundamentally what the character can do, though. So the idea is Xavier, and it's pretty much what they're doing in the trailers, without the fact that it's Xavier's son. It's Xavier had a son who had who was a mutant with mental illness, and his powers kind of manifest from his mental illness.
Okay.
In this case, in this show, he has schizophrenia. So I don't know. That might kind of vary on versions of it, I guess. But again, schizophrenia manifesting in mutant powers is basically kind of him discovering his Xavier-like abilities. And again, he might be even more powerful than kind of what we've seen with Xavier, because he has a lot of mind abilities. He can see visions. He can hallucinate. He basically doesn't know if he's crazy or if he's a mutant. And the doctors know he's a mutant, so they're engaging what his powers are, I guess. He has visions. He can read people's minds. He doesn't know it yet. He can warp. This is according to the comics. These last two, he can has pyrokinesis, and he can warp reality, which he kind of teleports people. So it suggests he can warp reality. I don't know.
Okay.
Point is, it looks like an interesting kind of take on the discovery of the mutant powers, which it looks interesting. That's all I can really say on it. This point.
The one thing I have to really say about this is that it looks like it takes my favorite qualities of the Bryan Singer X-Men movies. And that is kind of like the brutally realistic way in which society itself reacts to mutants, and kind of makes that into the basis of a whole show. And I think that's great, because I love those moments in the Bryan Singer X-Men movies. Like, even in something like the X-Men The Last Stand, where we have Kid Angel trying to cut off his wings, to the approval of his father, just to horrify his father. Like stuff like that, like brutal, kind of like super realistic, kind of like if mutants did exist in the real world, this kind of prejudice and this kind of nasty shit would happen. And I think this show is going to have that kind of stuff like all over it.
And last thing I can say about this before we move on, aside from the fact we got Bill Irwin and Hamish Linklater in this show, two really good actors.
Mm-hmm.
I will say I think it's interesting. Kind of the premise of the show they've kind of said is it's a kind of a guy trying to maintain his sanity, but again it's like basically kind of linking the journey of a mutant, of kind of discovery of being a mutant to kind of trying to keep your sanity. And the end of that discovery will be, end of that journey is like, oh my god, I am perfectly sane, but I'm also a mutant. That sounds like an interesting idea for the show.
Right.
Like I'm not crazy. I can do these things. I'm just worried about. It's like not schizophrenia. It's actually having mutant powers.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so real quick, Thor Ragnarok. We know very little. What I've heard of the footage is it's Hulk smashing in a forest, but also we do know one thing: the armor was shown. He's wearing the Hulk will don Planet Hulk armor.
Oh hell yes! Oh, that's exciting.
So that's mind-blowingly awesome.
Yes. I can't wait to see that.
Before we get to our last story, one last little thing. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 4 will be bringing a very iconic character, which could, maybe, if we're lucky, we'll kind of bridge some Netflix stuff, if we're lucky. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. will have Ghostrider in Season 4. Not Johnny Blaze, not Nicolas Cage.
I'm glad that it's not Johnny Blaze. I'm glad that they're kind of like, okay, let's do like the secondary Ghostrider just to kind of like, feel it out.
And also, just so you know, I don't know if this is entirely what motivated the decision of all the Ghost Riders, because there are a bunch of them. To this one in particular, this is the Robbie Reyes Ghostbuster. Isn't it? This is the Robbie Reyes Ghostbuster, and he might, because he seems to be the most practical out of all the Ghost Riders you can do. Because he, I've seen some versions of it. He has like kind of a mask-looking skull. Like you could get away with a mask if you wanted to, with
Sure,
a fire
sure.
coming out around him, like around the back. So he has like a few ports of fire coming at him. So they could do that. But however, the image that was displayed was just a skull with fire around it. So we don't know.
Gotcha. Okay.
They could go full skull. Okay, so let's get to the big story, the thing we're all been waiting for, the thing that takes us out here. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooga chaka, ooga chaka, ooga, ooga, ooga chaka.
I can't fight this feeling. Okay, sorry. So, wow, I mean, first of all, did you watch the panel at all, Tiki?
I didn't have time to. I apologize.
Well, let me tell you what we do know. The few things were revealed there. Unfortunately, folks, again, we have not seen the footage, and the reason for that is James Gunn has announced. Well, there might have been some really spoilery stuff in that footage. So again, that's a reason he's kind of held off on that being shown to the public. Two, it's also that a lot of the effects are unfinished. He wants to shoot kind of the best product there. So I mean, basically,
That's understandable.
A little bit of that, because I don't know. I might have heard like a glimpse of him spoiling something. I stopped myself before it went any further, so I don't know how much of it's him joking versus it being reality. I don't know if that was like a gag or something, but I can't spoil it for you because I don't want to risk it. I don't know.
Okay.
But let me tell you, what we do know from the descriptions of the footage is that Baby Groot is a showstopper. People love Baby Groot.
Which I think it's great that they're starting with Baby Groot and not just instantly going back into adult Groot.
Yeah. Which is the thing in the comics. He has to grow for a while before he becomes.
Of course.
We know Mantis. We have the Mantis, who's a kind of. I know very little about Mantis, so I barely know anything about Mantis. So don't ask me who she is. All her role in the film is that she ties into Star-Lord's dad in some way.
Okay. Interesting.
So whether she knows him or like there's anything deeper in it, I don't know. The point is, Mantis like has ties to Star-Lord's dad, played by, of course, Kurt Russell.
Mm-hmm.
Aisha is a character who is going to be enlisting the help of the Guardians, and we got to meet them at the panel, so you get to meet those guys. Yondu was there in costume, in full costume.
Yes.
And let me tell you the cool thing. We have to see, Yondu looks a little bit different, and this is awesome, Tika. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
He's got the full fin on his head. Remember, he has like kind of like a little shaved down fin on, like a mohawk?
Right.
They gave him the full fin from the comics, and it looks awesome.
Oh, Yondu is like probably the thing I'm most excited about with Guardians 2. I fucking love Yondu from the first movie.
And there's going to be apparently they're going to do really good stuff with Yondu. I'm going to tell you two things about the Yondu that's going to blow your mind. One, what they did for the panel was amazing. They introduced the Ravagers in character, in costume, all came out on stage. Like all the
Ravagers,
that's cool.
James that's really cool.
Like they were commenting on the panel throughout the whole thing. They're on the side. Like they would tease the actors, tease the audience. It'd be really hilarious. And then before they built up Yondu, would be the last one announced, of course. Then basically, there's this hilarious thing. Rooker comes out and he's saying, basically they put a chair out for him. He doesn't have a chair at first. He's, hey, where's my chair? And he says, don't put it there at the end. Put it next, because Chris Pratt's like at the very other side of it. Put it right next to my pal here. He's sitting down next to. It's so adorable. It's so nice. And Chris Pratt hinted that Yondu, whether he's going to be a Ravager or a Guardian, he might be a Guardian.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
He was one of the original Guardians of the Galaxy, Yondu, so that's something to bear in mind.
That's true. I'd like to see him be like a very reluctant, kind of like Peridot style Guardian.
So again, it looks like Yondu's definitely have a big presence because he's a big fan favorite. He'll have a good role in Guardians of the Galaxy too. That's been pretty much confirmed. They're parading him out there like such.
That's really good to hear because, like I said, like I was expecting everything else about Guardians to be awesome, but Michael Rooker was the element for me that I was not expecting to see that just absolutely stole the show. So.
Oh yeah, but everyone loves Yondu. Okay, let's see. So definitely going to Ravagers and Yondu. Quill, apparently according to Chris Pratt, Peter Quill is going to be kind of trying to eat. He's going to be trying to fulfill the role as a leader to the Guardians, which of course he's not exactly super suited for. That's his arc, kind of. He's hinted at. It's going to be kind of Quill trying to establish himself as a leader in the Guardians, trying to be a good leader, but he's just not that good at it yet.
Okay.
Drax is going to be. This is a hilarious thing to mention about Drax. Drax apparently. Because people are going to be using metaphors and all sorts of references around thanks to Quill. Drax is going to be trying or pretending to understand the metaphors. Like he'll pretend he got a metaphor. Like, yes, I understand that. I understood that reference. Something like that. It's like he'll play along. Like he might try like a failed metaphor. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, I told you Baby Groot, and that's really all we got from the Guardians movie. But they also definitely confirmed what the ride's going to be. With the Guardians of the Galaxy ride is.
Mm-hmm.
So Towers of this was speculated. Now it's for Tiki. Why don't you take the reins on this? Before you get in your rant, take the reins.
I'll take the reins. So it's been rumored for a few months now that the Tower of Terror at Disney's California Adventure was going to turn into a Guardians of the Galaxy attraction. And this was something that basically pissed off everybody. And then it was announced yesterday, or whenever it was announced, a few days ago, regardless. When it was announced, I personally really think that the attraction is going to be an upgrade over what we have now. What we have now is a shallow and, quite frankly, kind of embarrassing version of the Tower of Terror when you compare it to the one in Florida. I think there is no reason for Disney fans to jump all over and say, no, we can't change this, we can't deal with the change, when, let's face it, the Tower of Terror in California Adventure has been subpar since it opened. I think with this expansion, it's not only promising for the rest of the park, and I'll get into that in a minute, but I think there's no way that they're going to be able, it's getting a randomized drop sequence, which it should have gotten years ago. I'm excited about that. I really do like the look of the exterior, and I think the look of the exterior is going to look spectacular from Harbor Boulevard. Am I sad that the Hollywood, like the old school 1930s Hollywood theme is going away? A little, but I'm also excited about the Marvel theme that's coming, so I think it kind of evens itself out. Now, the point of the attraction, of course, is like the Guardians have been kidnapped by the Collector. They're in display cases, and Rocket Raccoon breaks out, tries to break the others out, and we're in the service elevator or whatever. We end up in some kind of elevator trying to escape with them. I mean, I think it's fine. Like I said, there's no way that this attraction is going to be less underwhelming than what they have at California Adventure right now, which is essentially just kind of like this neutered and bastardized version of the Florida version of Tower of Terror. I think it's great, actually, that now with this in place, we're going to be having a different Tower of Terror in every single park. So the Tower of Terror in Tokyo is the Harrison High Tower of Terror. The Tower of Terror in Disney World is the original Twilight Zone one. The Tower of Terror in Paris is basically a clone of the original DCA Tower of Terror. So they're all different experiences now. Dragon, the main thing that people are just straight up, like, just putting their fingers in their ear and being like, la, 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 I'm ignoring this, la, 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 is this. It's not just about Guardians of the Galaxy taking over Tower of Terror. It's about the fact that there's a giant fucking expansion pad right behind Tower of Terror that has not been used since the park opened. There's a giant expansion pad right there. How would they transition a Marvel area with the current Hollywood Tower Hotel? They'd have to set it in the 1930s. They'd have to do like a weird Captain America land, which, Dragon, I know you and I would not be opposed to that, but it'd limit them. It'd definitely limit them. With Guardians of the Galaxy basically being like the weedy into the Marvel land, you can do anything at that point. You could go to any dimension. There could be like a Thor sub area. There could be a New York sub area. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much potential here. There's a lot of space that they still have to work with to really round out the park, connect it back to Cars Land, connect it to Paradise Bay, really make a big kind of Star Wars Land style upgrade and just expansion to the park as a whole. That's what people aren't understanding, Dragon. Not to mention, Disney doesn't fucking own the rights to the Twilight Zone. Disney has to pay CBS for the rights to the Twilight Zone. Business-wise, it only makes sense. I absolutely think Disney fans are completely out of line. They're just starting, like, they want to start petitions about this shit. They want to kind of just boycott Disney. And I'm like, shut up. Just shut up. And I am talking to my people now. I am talking to, like, my specific people who I am part of this fan base, Dragon. I am part of this very, very specific, like, local Californian Disneyland fan base. Shut up. It's an improvement over what we have, and it's going to lead to awesome things in the future. Don't complain. It's going to be great. the expansion to Tower of Terror might not be like the most mind-blowing thing in the world, but I have full confidence that the actual Marvel land that's going to come from Tower of Terror, and I think the Guardians Tower of Terror is basically like an important stepping stone in that direction to that land. I think that is going to be spectacular, and I think that is a long game that all these fans bitching and moaning like, oh, well, Twilight Zone, they're not keeping the Twilight Zone theme. It's just shut up. Parks change. Disney parks change all the time. They change, they evolve. This is the next evolution for DCA. Get over it. Dropped mic. You know what?
Wait. Don't.
I caught it. Don't worry.
Oh,
I caught it. See? Look, I'll drop the mic. There. Drop mic. Anyways. So okay, I'm sorry, Dragon. I'm sorry. It's like it's a very, very politically sensitive issue in the Disneyland fan community right now. And quite frankly, you're hard pressed to find anyone who approves of it. I am someone who approves of it. So
let me say this with the right thing. Believe me, I'm sympathetic to those out there who are kind of just in general, it's anyone who's had like a favorite ride or a favorite attraction that becomes something else. Believe me, I'm sympathetic. According to what I found out by Tiki one day, way ago, my favorite attraction in Florida was kind of turned into something else, which really made me sad. Almost as sad as Freakazoid pining over the little boats.
Oh, God.
Almost as sad, but I mean, okay, actually, I'll put it on par with being that sad. 'Cause, the art of animation section of the Florida thing in Disney really bummed me out. So, I mean, look, the other things change. The unfortunate thing, folks, is that there's nothing you can do to stop it. That's what you have to make peace. There's nothing you can do to stop it. You just got to look for the best situation. At the very least, I can assume you're going to be gloomy on the fact that, hey, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, which is awesome. Which I got to tell you, though, I've never gone to Tower Stairs ride when I was in Florida. I know that one's not changing. The California one's changing.
And I would not expect the Tower Terror in Florida to change because, A, I think it fits the whole theme of the overall park a lot more. And B, I think the Twilight Zone theme is more prevalent over there. It's original. It's iconic. It's easily that park's anchor attraction. I don't think they're going to change it.
Well, my point is, I probably wouldn't go on that ride now because, again, I'm not a roller coaster. I'm not kind of like a high intensity sort of thing, like kind of a high speed sort of thing.
Sure.
It's not my thing. However, if I were, let's say, I were near the Guardians of the Galaxy fully realized ride, I actually would go on it because it's Guardians of the Galaxy, and I got to get on that thing again. Purely because it's like basically it's kind of a fast elevator. I would I might be able to get over my kind of my thing with that because it's it's Guardians of the Galaxy and it's essentially an elevator. It's a really fast, scary elevator, but it's still
okay.
And that point is a few little details here, so the things might kind of sweeten the deal for anyone not sold on it. Some really cool stuff. Again, it's escaping the collector's collection. All the actors are involved, including Benicio del Toro as the collector.
Right.
Which is definitely confirmed. Also, we're going to have kind of like Star-Lord's kind of awesome mixtape playing, so a lot of really classic songs will be playing throughout the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if during the ride it kind of plays, triggering like certain ups and downs, perhaps. And from what I've seen, I saw some of the concept art of like you basically get to go through the collector's collection, which we can assume there's going to be some Howard the Duck Easter eggs, but still,
there has to be an interactive Howard the Duck animatronic that you can fucking talk to like Mr. Potato Head. I will be so bummed out if there's not.
There is a sort of thing where you can walk through where you're walking through the queue, and you basically get to see the Guardians in their cells. And the point is, it looks like a really awesome setup for this ride. I mean, it looks very interesting. I mean, I'm personally thrilled about it, but my heart goes out to people who are not happy of like seeing a ride go away. But again, folks, I'm just saying it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's just glean what positive things you can glean.
If it was Florida, I would understand, but any Disney fan worth their salt should know that the Tower of Terror in Florida is vastly superior to the one in California anyways. And any upgrade is a good thing.
But regardless, the point is like Guardians of the Galaxy is getting a ride, and that's cool. And it sounds like if I were close to it, I'd get on it because it sounds fun.
All right. And I guess so the last thing to do, Dragon, just kind of wrap up, what was the big, like, if you had to give the award for who stole Comic-Con, what would be the one thing for you?
Like the moment, or like I don't know, like might be Yondu. Yondu was really fun.
Okay.
I thought Yondu was so clever too, because his in character had all the Ravagers there. It was like really fun, really energized. I don't know. It seemed really like there was mention of Yondu cookies.
I was also kind of more referring to like what's the one big piece of news that dropped that kind of was the highlight of Comic-Con for you.
Oh, news. I'm sorry. Well, I mean that was just kind of like the kind of event or presentation, I guess. Let me think.
Sure.
Well, I got to think on it. You got one?
I'm still gonna have to go back to Blair Witch. I'm sorry, just because that was so out of nowhere. It's like we were all expecting Justice League, we were expecting Marvel, we were expecting DC. Never in a million years was I fucking expecting to see a revival of Blair Witch that looked as promising and as deeply, legitimately scary as that trailer looks. So for me, as a horror junkie, as a horror fan, and as someone who got a lot of his independent filmmaking spirit and inspiration from the original Blair Witch project, I have to say Blair Witch, out of all the fucking franchise stuff, stole Comic-Con for me.
I don't know. I got a lot of good things that kind of weigh my options here. Because I mean, let me just kind of go through what I'm thinking here. Is I know all the bad news that was announced. I know that.
I think we can agree Rihanna was probably below light.
Yes, that was the absolute worst news announced. But I mean, I'm kind of between. These are the moments I'm between. Because just I did not expect the Justice League trailer. I was kind of blown away. Hey, we're getting a Justice League trailer, and it was actually good. So I mean, that I was blown away by. But also the ending to the Flash trailers, the bit for me, always like, who's the villain now? Flash. Yeah. That still like gives me chills. That's so awesome. But the other again, the Yondu really steals it in that regard, though. You know, it's presentation. It's Yondu, but like a bad. It's so much good stuff this year. That's the thing. I mean, it's the most surprising.
It's probably like let's just call that right now. I think this is one of the best Comic Cons we've had in like at least the past 5 years or so. I would say, just in terms of like the sheer amount of things that got announced, the sheer hype of what got announced, just the sheer amount of footage. It was a big year this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of good news. But also a little bad news, a little big bad news.
Yeah, it's like a lot of good news, but then like one piece of bad news, like just sulking in the side of the room.
It's like not enough to be mixed because there was the good outweighs the bad. But I mean, the bad was really bad though.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, again, I'm terrified of Gotham. Just to recap the bad, I'm terrified of Gotham season 3. I'm not saying that's going to be like the worst thing. I'm just saying it's putting me on edge.
Right.
Bates Motel, of course, was the worst soul crushing news. Let's see, DreamWorks probably be the runner up to that. And again, this Killing Joke controversy is really kind of the bottom because again, I don't know how to. I have to see it in context. I can't go off of fear because I'm still
okay.
It's now another thing I have to worry about with Killing Joke.
Okay. All right.
Plus, by the way, I'm sorry. I just want to set up one thing.
Hurry up.
Again, ending of Killing Joke is the big controversy going into that movie because again, how that movie ends is a huge thing because it sets up whether he kills the Joker or not. We have no idea how they're going to pull that off.
Oh, that's true. I honestly hope they just end it on like a recreation of the panel. That's what I'm hoping for.
That's what I'm saying because they could piss a lot of people off depending on how they end that.
That panel is like one of the most ambiguous panels in all of comic book history.
So how do you bring that to screen? That's my question.
Right.
Anyway, so
you bring it to screen with like having Batman choke him out and then like just fade into like a comic book, panel thing, and then that's the end. That's how you do it.
And we'll see how that goes. Okay, folks.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us, folks. Had a lot of fun discussing all this news, and until next time. I don't know. Nah, I
Flash!
can't think of it. Oh yeah. Who's the villain now, Flash?